Hello traders, welcome to the weekly outlook and setups volume 231. Iliya here. You know what we're going to be doing in this video, having a look at the markets, how they developed this week, what kind of opportunities we had, and most importantly, what we can expect for the upcoming week. Now this week, if you are trading the majors, the USD pairs, you got stuck in a pretty nasty consolidation as usual. So truly hoping that next week and the new month are also going to shake out things a little bit. And I do believe that is going to be the case because as we're going to be jumping into the news overview right now, we have some pretty important stuff coming out next week. So, of course, let's dive into it. All right, so let's start with the economic calendar, try to frame the trading week a little bit. And I'm pretty sad to say, but this week will be a little bit non-tradable, probably very tricky. Again, we never know. But for example, Monday starts with no news. So that is usually goes two ways. When you have no news or a bank holiday, the market tends to massively go, or it tends to chop around very much, right? But again, if you just want to be safe, don't trade on Monday because very likely you're going to get chopped out. Tuesday, JPY news, very nice. Services PMI for the USD looks pretty good. But then on the day after, we start getting some important stuff. Now again, Aussie, GBP here, nothing that important. Employment change, this is a very important news release as well. CAD rate statement, very important. And then we have Mr. Powell testifying. So we have him testifying on Wednesday, we have him testifying on Thursday, and on Friday we have NFP for the USD. And pretty much when you have an NFP week, it's very 50-50 price action because usually the market will be awaiting NFP and it will be chopping out on Thursday very likely. Then on Thursday we have very important Euro news, interest rates and the ECB press conference paired with again a speech from Powell. So it's very tricky, right? It's very tricky, but I truly hope, because I'm starting to get a little bit pissed because I'm not sure if you are alone, but I do feel like this year so far hasn't really moved. Like especially on the major pairs, it is just chopping around and it's very bad and discouraging because we fail to get any sort of trend. So I do hope this week with all the speeches from Powell, interest rates for the Euro, NFP for the USD, hopefully we are going to get to moving. But just to conclude that, be careful this week because we have a lot of important news and just make sure to wait for them to get out, see where the market goes and then adapt to that. But of course, if you, for example, trade on Wednesday after the Fed, then on Thursday you again have Fed and ECB. And then if you trade on Thursday, you're trading before NFP, which tends to be a choppy day. So again, watch out this week. All right, let's get started with the DXY. Now, here we are on the monthly time frame. We're having still this monthly imbalance. And we can see the current monthly candle did kind of reject away from it. It's overall bullish, but we do have a very nice rejection. And if we solely base this one on the monthly time frame, well, we should be expecting the next candle to be potentially bearish, right? And of course, our first target could potentially be the previous monthly low, which is going to be a very nice target because that is quite some pips away because that is the monthly time frame. Well, not quite some, it's 100 pips, honestly. And yeah, but we didn't move as much. But then, of course, keeping that overall bearish bias in mind, we transfer onto the weekly time frame. And again, as I told you, this year so far, like the year is still young, but it's not that young as well. It's already March. And there is, for example, January, we just pushed up and then it's very choppy price action, especially on the DXY, especially on the USD pairs. It is just without direction for a very long time right now. But I truly hope next week with all the USD news, we are gonna see whether this monthly zone is going to hold. Because if we start getting daily price action bearish here, or even bullish, that gives us a sign of a direction. Because right now we just don't have direction. There is nothing I can conclude on the weekly. This week was absolutely choppy. Like you can see, it's an inside bar of the previous week. It's a doji, which is pretty much indecision. And I am having a losing week. This week I took 2 break-evens, 1 half loss and 1 full loss. And I'm very happy I actually went to visit my grandma because probably if I did not, I would have spent more time on the charts. And it was just, again, you try to show up, but the market is just choppy. And again, if you keep looking at the market, you are going to see something that you think, okay, that is worth giving a try. But that is just low probability price action, and you end up taking unnecessary losses that are damaging your overall performance, right? Because you can see, again, we're transferring onto the daily time frame. Well, I'm sorry, but I have nothing to say right there. I cannot analyze this piece of price action right here because it's just choppy candles, wicks up and down, small candles down, up and down, wicks. Crazy, crazy. Really, nothing much to say here. We don't have any imbalances. We don't have any clear structure. Like the last structure break was here, but then it just got all choppy. And if, of course, I transfer onto the hourly time frame, this is potentially where I might be falling back into old habits because I told myself I am only going to be trading when the daily time frame is clear. But look at that here. The daily time frame hasn't been clear for 2 weeks. So again, that is 2 weeks not trading all the USD pairs. Like, again, not all the USD pairs are choppy like this, but mainly EU and GU, which are pretty much the two main pairs that I look at. They have been choppy as hell. And here is the DXY. Again, I am not going to analyze overall this piece of price action because it's a consolidation. It is a consolidation. This is not a trend. And of course, you could dig into it, right? You can say, all right, this is a structure break. So we are trading within this overall range. The market pulled back. It actually failed to hold from this imbalance. It formed a bullish imbalance, which I thought it actually could be a bullish sign. It fails to hold from here, but then at the end of the day, it ends up taking out this high. It also ended up taking out that high here. Then you're technically bullish, trading within this range. Technically still held, but not good. Not good. So again, what I'm just simply going to say on the DXY is that I am going to be patient and I'm going to be waiting for daily clear price action. I want to see daily imbalances. Again, you know that I've been looking at imbalances a lot. Look at this price action. Pretty much since this last bullish imbalance, which failed on this candle, we forecasted that this low could be weak. Since this happened, there hasn't been anything clear. So since here, so for 10 days, which is not a lot of time, again, we haven't had anything clear. So I truly hope this week we are going to have some sort of a move out of this range, right? I don't care what happens. Massive push lower with imbalances, I'm going to go short. Massive push higher with imbalances, I'm going to go long. Because again, if we have the bullish move, then that means that this monthly imbalance is failing to push price lower. And then, of course, we can start forecasting all of these highs to go right here. But so far, we just have to wait. That is the DXY. We have to wait. And of course, we're going to see EU, GU, and the USD pairs pretty much with the same overall outlook. Let's have a look at Euro USD. So again, similar monthly imbalance. We tapped in. Very nice indecision candle this month. So again, we couldn't pick a direction this month, which is perfectly fine. What truly matters to us right now is what March is going to do, because for me, March just does not make sense not to move. Now, again, I truly don't care where it moves. I just want it to move because, again, as the market starts moving, then, of course, you're starting to build confidences for where it potentially wants to go. Now, our biggest confidence, of course, is that monthly imbalance that could potentially suggest a bullish monthly time frame. Once again, we have that weekly bearish imbalance that did its job. We tapped in, we pushed lower, we failed. So then that immediately tells me that we are more bullish than bearish. And then, of course, if you look on the weekly time frame, there is nothing else to potentially act as resistance all the way towards that little bit of a weekly imbalance here. So if the market goes bullish, that will be very good because we're going to be having a lot of targets, and you can overall see all of these flat highs right here. Everything is going to be collected all the way until this high. But first, we need to see that bullishness, and we drop to the daily time frame, and we do not see not a single bullish imbalance going higher. We did have the trend change, which is very good. We did have a very, 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 very tiny little bit here. Like, there is a very tiny one, but if I go to another broker, maybe it's not even going to be an imbalance. So yeah, we overall trend changed on the daily, which is a very good sign from the monthly zone. Pushed, and yeah, like, it looks like it's pushing up, but it's not really pushing up. This is not the big move. This is almost 200 pips for a whole month. So again, right now, no clue what the daily is doing. I would say that I'm more bullish than bearish, but I do not have any sort of zones or any sort of confirmations to potentially clearly say, yes, this is bullish. And then, of course, we drop to the forward time frame. It's a pure chop. if you actually have a look at the valid range, we're trading between this low to this high, and we are still inside it. So there it is. And what is this? This is a consolidation. All you're trading here is internal structure. And again, I made a mistake. So one of the trades that I took was actually from here. It looked like this was on Wednesday. It did look like the market created the weekly high, and we were about to start pushing lower. And then I thought, all right, so this bullish leg is failing to hold. So I could expect then this low to be taken. The market did pull back into the imbalance here, although very aggressively. It gave a 5-minute entry, so there was a loss right there. And again, you can see, looks like it wants to push up. No, pushes down. Then on Friday yesterday, it did look like it wants to go down. Nope, pushes up. So what are we doing? We're just chopping around still within that consolidation. So what I'm looking for is for the market to exit that consolidation. And I'm going to give my best again, guys. It's all about discipline. And again, I am also falling into mistakes like this because again, you show up every day, you see something that makes sense, right? All right, so the market fails to push higher, then it should be pushing lower. Then I would expect this low to fail, and you end up taking a trade. But that is not a high probability trade because we should be staying right now on the daily time frame, waiting for clear daily price action. So that's all I'm gonna say on EU. Hopefully this week's price action, we have Euro interest rates, we have Fed speaking, we have NFP. Hopefully the USD market will be shaken out. Now, if you think that EU is choppy, GU is way choppier. Look at this. We have December's candle printed, and we have right now 2 months being an inside bar of that December's candle. And like, this is not very normal. Like, again, guys, I don't know. Let me know in the comments, but I do feel like this is one of the slowest years and the choppiest years. Again, I've been trading for 4 years, almost five, probably 5 already. I don't count. But I haven't seen like, well, probably if we go back in time, of course, we're going to see a couple of choppy months, right? Again, here you are, for example, February printed a big candle, and then we have 2 months just staying inside, right? It happens and it's okay. But just at the current moment, it does feel like it's so slow, right? Because you're so focused on the short term. Now, again, here, GU is the only pair from the USDs that did not tap a monthly imbalance, which is still resting right here. Nothing, absolutely nothing to extract from the monthly, absolutely nothing to extract from the weekly. Again, we're having 2 months being inside bars. That suggests a massive consolidation. Then you drop to the daily. It's even cleaner, the consolidation. We try to zoom in. We try to find something to make sense, but absolutely nothing makes sense. If, of course, you look at structure, we're still trading between this high to this low. And we're just chopping around from one consolidation onto, from one consolidation onto another, right? Because first of all, we had this consolidation. Looks like it wants to go down. No, right now starts chopping again. So I'm not even going to go to the forward time frame because what am I doing on the forward time frame? I'm just trying to force some sort of an idea. And if you actually once again have a look at structure, right? If I actually pull out the Fanatic indicator, which I think I haven't really updated. Where is the valid range? Yeah, if I actually put out the indicator, you can see that, yeah, I was actually way too zoomed in. I thought it's gonna say that we're trading between this low to this high, which is once again like a very big internal consolidation. But if you actually zoom it out a little bit, we're trading from this high to this low, depending on how you take structure, and we still haven't exited that range, which is pretty much that daily push, right? It's the same as the hourly push. So we are just extremely choppy, right? So I'm not gonna make it long. I am simply waiting once again for daily candles. I'm waiting for the news to come out this week. I might actually take a break this week because I'm most likely again going to force something and start the month on a bad mood and with some losses, which I don't want for that to happen. And then of course wait for the news to come out, wait for some clear daily and weekly candles, and only then start striking, because currently there is nothing I can say about this market. Now, unlike EU and GU, the Aussies and the NZDs and also, for example, USD JPY are moving quite well. We can see that Aussie dollar, it had a very nice January. February was not that bad as well. It kind of pushed down, so it did have some sort of a move, but not very big. So we're still tapping inside that monthly imbalance area. And again, the question right now is, are we going to start pushing higher from that zone, or are we starting to go like violating it, pushing below it, closing below it? which is then essentially going to make this low weak. But again, we're going to be seeing this potentially in the upcoming weeks, hopefully next week. Weekly time frame. So I do believe if overall we were gonna push up from that zone, we probably would have showed a little bit more signs so far. You can see the monthly that monthly zone was tapped on 1 week, 2, 3, even 4, and right now coming back 5. So whatever orders were resting, again, imbalances, they do not have orders, they're just a rebalance. But if potentially whoever they are, if they were going to push the market higher, I do think they should have pushed it up already and given us some signs. Again, you can see there is 0 imbalances going higher on the daily. Look at all these candles. Does that tell you that we're bullish? Look at all those wicks. Not nice. Not very nice. So there is a tiny little bit of an imbalance exactly right here, but I wouldn't really count this one. It's very tiny, very minuscule. But similar again here to everything that I said for EU and GU, I am waiting for clear daily price action. I'm not gonna wait for a weekly, but at least I want to see daily, because if you're a day trader, of course, depending like day trader, scalper, whatever you are, you usually always want to start off from a higher time frame and get that higher time frame bias, because that is what essentially is going to put the odds in your favor. If you go right now on the 5 minutes, for example, and yes, you're gonna say, all right, so there is a trend change, so I'm gonna go short. That is fine. That is fine if that is how you want to trade. But of course, if you want to do your top-down analysis and have a very good setup, then of course you have to start from the higher time frames. And again, like daily time frame is not clear, that automatically makes the hourly time frame not very clear as well. Although we did have some sort of a nice structure. The last trend change we had was here, lower high, lower low very nicely. But again, we overall ended up, after this drop on Wednesday, we ended up chopping around. So again, waiting for that clear price action, because right now I could say, all right, we're having this break, we're having this imbalance, I'm long bias, and then it opens and it just does something completely random. So again, waiting for clear daily price action to potentially give me a proper setup. Having a look at NZDUSD, pretty much similar to the Aussie dollar. Here we're tapping in for 1 month into the imbalance. The second month, again, it probably should have started pushing up. It did not, but it also did not push very much down to potentially invalidate that bullish idea. So it's still very 50-50. Dropping onto the weekly time frame here, it did look like he wants to push, but then this week, whoop, going all the way back down. Again, why? Pick a direction already. Dropping onto the daily time frame, well, here we have something interesting that we did not have on the rest of the pairs. Like if we look closely, again, on this leg up, do we have any imbalances? I immediately spot one. There it is. On the way to that daily imbalance, we formed a bearish one, which is right here. Right, that is just, again, looking right now, reading the momentum and what the market is doing. So the market came into that bullish imbalance and it gave us the reaction, but within that reaction, we formed a bearish imbalance coming in. Then on the next day, we had a tap in. Not sure if we actually tapped. We came probably very close to tapping. And then we just launched lower. And I do believe we had some sort of a news. Now, if you ask the question, is there anything to stop price from pushing lower right now? Well, apart from this overall big sell to buy area that we're already kind of very nicely inside and we don't look like we want to hold, I don't think so. So this pair gives me a little bit more of a bearish outlook. And the main thing that causes this is that massive daily imbalance lower that we just think probably very late on Friday. So again, what I would like to see for NZUSD is for it to come inside this daily zone again and then start shifting lower, potentially on the hourly and on the hourly time frame, right? So something like that, tap in potentially Monday and then Tuesday to potentially start rejecting and heading lower. Of course, first target is going to be this low, very short term, and then if it starts to follow through, we can expect this low to go. Now again, we have to wait for market open because this one tapped pretty late. So probably it's gonna come in again to take out that previous previous daily high, and we can see we already have some hourly order flow kicking in to potentially make it very easy to target that high. And then as we tap again into that daily zone, I would be very curious to see what is going to happen. But once again, this is a low probability trade because we have no idea what is going on with the USD pairs. If they decide to start pushing up this week, then of course NZUSD will also push up. So again, wait, much better to wait. All right, at least gold is getting a little bit more interesting. So we're having February here closing with an overall bullish candle, which I like. The wick to the lows is bigger than the wick to the highs, which again suggests that there was a nice rejection coming in from the downside. And we can see already just one day of the month, and we have already moved more. So that is like, let's say 50 pips. We have already moved almost more than what we moved for a whole month. So why is that? Well, there was something happening on Friday. I do believe with gold, we're having a very nice weekly candle of expansion. So then, of course, we would like to see some sort of a daily or some sort of a fall imbalance. And again, you can see this all happened on Friday, 1st of March. This all happens on Friday. We're having a very nice trend change on the daily as well, which is great to see. And right now, what I would potentially wait for is for one more candle to form here in order to have that bullish daily imbalance. So again, wait for Monday to form, wait for that daily imbalance to form on Monday, right? And then on Tuesday, I do believe we could potentially strike for longs. It's getting very close to that liquidity target, the most recent liquidity target. That is very likely going to be taken out on Monday. And then I would like to see an imbalance form. And then potentially Tuesday, Wednesday, we could look to long gold. Now, if I just jump quickly on the 40 time frame, I'm not sure what I said last week. Probably I was looking for on the 40 time frame. But again, you can see it was very, very, very choppy all week. Very, very, very choppy. Then it quickly pops up, forms that bullish imbalance. And again, it kind of consolidated. Then it came in here on Friday in the morning, pinged it. Then we have one candle of a kind of a pullback, and then it just rocketed higher. Again, there was something happened. Again, for gold traders, let me know what happened on gold, because that definitely looks like very volatile, very huge. Right now, we do have this overall forward imbalance going on that you could potentially look for a very quick scalp. If it gives you a quick alignment, you can already kind of just take a quick scalp towards that high. That could work out great. But I would prefer to wait for a daily candle to close on Monday, have that daily bullish imbalance, and then potentially just wait for that to pull back into it and then start going higher. So that is gold. Looks rather bullish, which is strange. So if gold is bullish, then DXY should be bearish, which is essentially what we expect. So let's hope maybe next week things are going to start to align. One of the best pairs to be traded so far this year has been USD JPY. January, very nice month. February, also very nice month. Overall bullish. We are coming in pretty close to these highs that can act as potential liquidity. So let's see. Dropping onto the weekly time frame here, we also had some very good stuff happening because we're coming in from some weekly zones. There is one weekly zone that we tapped in here. Very nice follow through. We did create another one right here, which again just suggests that we are going with momentum. And then we have the very last one that tapped this week and we rejected. So I can immediately say that we can look for overall bullishness. Again, does that resonate with the DXY though? Not really. But it could resonate because if the DXY is actually failing to go lower, it could go higher, right? It's just nonsense. So if actually the DXY decides to go higher eventually, use the JPY will be very, 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 very nice. So now, dropping onto the daily time frame here, we're having a very ugly daily overall range. Like my indicator is probably going to take out this as the low based on the daily. Yep. So from this low to this high. And you can see we're still trading all internal, waiting for that high to be broken. Now we did have this daily imbalance resting here. But again, you can see that imbalance tapped once and then it just started chopping around. So we're getting a very big consolidation here. I'm very surprised why it didn't take out this high. Launched lower, taps into that weekly zone, which is also very good. And right now it's very choppy a little bit. But as we're coming in from a weekly zone right now, I could automatically drop to the 40 time frame and wait for bullish signs, which we actually got, right? So if you follow the order flow, we had a very nice drop lower. This is the last bearish imbalance that formed. We tapped in, we actually went lower, which is very good, but we failed to continue pushing lower. And then all of a sudden we start reversing higher with bullish imbalances. And again, you can see just towards the end of the day, the market came in very nicely into that forward imbalance, but it doesn't look very, very, very good because it's coming in with a bearish one right here and it came in very strongly. So again, this immediately makes it, I just got excited that this one could be a nice trade, but immediately makes it a little bit low probability. So what I would essentially wait for this one is to see a clear reaction, potentially even a forward close above this imbalance to show me that there is no reaction for that it wants to push lower. And then potentially on a lower time frame, like on the hourly and even on the 50-minute time frame, we can look to continue higher. Why? Well, because we're coming in from a weekly zone. So that is UJ. Looks a little bit more bullish, but again, it all depends on the DXY. If the DXY chops, if the DXY potentially starts going lower, then UJ could also potentially go lower as well. So this week, with all the USD news, we have to be very, 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 very careful. Euro JPY, way better than EU. We are having some two bullish monthly candles here, coming very close to that monthly high. Weekly time frame, like unlike GJ, EJ did not have a weekly imbalance. It actually created one right here that it came very close to tap last week. So probably this week we could actually go there, but we'll see about that. This weekly candle overall, again, you can see indecision, pushed up, pushed down, closed almost where it opened, so it doesn't tell us a lot. Dropping onto the daily time frame, we had this very massive drop on Thursday. There was some sort of a news, and yeah, we're kind of reacted from what I saw was potentially like this zone here. We have overall like this overall consolidation that made me think, okay, we could potentially have a reaction. So I actually took a long trade on EJ on Friday, but it was a nasty break even. My MT4 did not take me out on the TP, and then it reversed. So right now we don't have much on the daily. I, however, think this one is more bullish than it is bearish. My only question is it going to push higher from here, or is it going to pull back to the weekly imbalance? That is the main question, and we're probably going to have the forward time frame tell us more insights on that. Again, you can see we had a very nice drop lower. We had a bearish imbalance being destroyed by a very nice bullish imbalance here. So pretty much I traded this candle right there. But then you can see the market just fails to pick a direction and commit. And it started to chop around. So pretty much my trade was, let me show you. It was exactly from here. Stop loss below. And yeah, probably I got a bad fill. I entered on this candle, but I got filled somewhere here. My stop loss was like that. So I had a 2 Rs. I had exactly this. I didn't get pinged out on this one. And then the market just massively started reversing. And I went break even because I was like, yeah, Asian high taken. I don't want to go from 2R to stop loss. If I let it run, later it came back up again. But yeah, very, very, very painful because that would have pretty much put me on profit for the week because I have a 1 loss and 1 half loss. The half loss, which one did I take? Was it AU? I don't remember. But yeah, that is a break even that I took yesterday. So right now, again, as we failed to push higher from this hourly zone, we're coming in again. No idea what is happening right now. So I'm going to be waiting. I'm going to be waiting more, potentially for new hourly pushes higher to show me that it wants to go higher. And if we have new hourly pushes lower to show me that it wants to go lower, I have then a very clear target in the form of that weekly imbalance. But once again, for EJ, we have to wait. I hate to say it. I've been saying it on every outlook. We have to wait because we still don't have clear bias. GJ, also in terms of the movement it made so far this year, it's definitely not bad. Look at January, very nice push. February, also very nice push. March, let's see, is it going to pull back a little bit to continue pushing? Is it going to reverse? Well, again, we don't have much to work with in terms of the monthly. Dropping onto the weekly time frame, well, here we also did have a very nice confluence of that weekly imbalance, then taking us very nicely to that monthly high. Well, yeah, I'd already got tapped out the monthly high. But then we pull back into that weekly imbalance and we started following through. And also what we have here is a very, very, very tiny little bit of an imbalance to again suggest that we're overall bullish. Are we going to pull back into it next week? Again, this is so tiny. I'm just gonna drag it in right here. Let's see. And here we go to the daily when things get a little bit unclear. Now we had a daily bullish imbalance here with a bullish structure. The market tagged in. Took out the high, good. Did it continue pushing higher? No. So then, of course, as we start failing to continue pushing higher on that day, you can potentially expect that we're going to be having a deeper pullback, which we did have on Thursday. But then on Thursday, if Friday potentially did create an imbalance here, that would have been very nice. But Friday did not create an imbalance because we pretty much filled the gap, right? There is no gap. And right now it's tricky to say what will happen next. Are we going to pull back to that weekly zone? Are we going to push higher or lower? We do not know. So again, we have to wait. Exactly the same setup as on EJ. We had that fall zone, but I did take EJ because we had some Euro news on Friday that I thought could push the market a little bit more. But at the end of the day, they ended up playing out the same. Pushed up, failed to continue going higher, and then again started coming back into that zone. And this zone is already taken. So it's irrelevant right now because we already tapped in on that candle and we already pushed up away from it. So yeah, right now, no idea what is happening. Still waiting for a push lower to show me that it wants to go to the weekly imbalance, or if it starts popping higher, breaking this structure with imbalance, then of course we could potentially go higher. So stay tuned for my flow of the markets on Wednesday. Well, indices, they keep pushing. We're having a very massive candle close on SPX, which also did create the monthly imbalance here. We have a monthly imbalance here. We have a monthly imbalance here. That is a good trending market. Now, again, on the intraday, it tends to get a little bit choppy at times, but that is perfectly fine. So a brand new month has opened right now. We do not really have, I don't think the market is going to pull back all the way here. Doesn't make a lot of sense, although it could. Right, it could, but of course we first have to see weekly and daily start shifting lower, then we can start forecasting that. Now, weekly time frame, it did form a tiny little bit of an imbalance here, but very tiny. Overall bullish week. It just keeps pushing higher, actually, which is pretty nice. Daily time frame, and then when you go to the daily, this is where again overall moving very nice. This is why I'm telling you this year is so far very tricky. We have indices, they're moving very nicely higher, but then you go to the lower time frames and you get those big consolidations. So we have a very big consolidation here. It pops up. This week, I was looking for longs. It took 1, 2, 3 days chopping, and then I thought, okay, well, maybe we're not gonna go. And then the market kind of showed us a little bit of sign on Thursday that it wants to go, and then Friday took it out. But then, of course, on the intraday, it also gets a little bit tricky. You don't get the clarity, but of course, it really depends on how you trade. But that's just simply my experience so far this year. It's pretty hard to pick a bias. It goes up, then it goes down. You have to constantly flow. And as you start your weeks and as you start your days, I spotted that very rarely I've just had a clear, nice bias. Like to say, yes, this is 100% longs, in my opinion, right? So right now, again, on the daily time frame, we very nicely pushed higher. I would truly appreciate if the market does not come back to that candle here, because that is going to prevent a new daily imbalance from forming. If we have that daily imbalance, it's going to be quite great. Right now, we have potentially this forward zone to react from. So let's see. Looks very good for a continuation longs. I would potentially wait for Monday to close to give me that daily imbalance. Then potentially on Tuesday, I could continue flowing with that bullish market until, of course, it starts showing me bearish signs. So that is SPX. Again, preferably waiting for Monday to close and striking on Tuesday afterwards. Well, same with NASDAQ. It keeps making all-time highs, which is great. So, of course, from all-time highs, there comes a pullback at some point in time, and we're going to probably have this anytime soon. Now, on the weekly time frame here, we have nice price action going higher. We had 2 weeks here that the market chopped out a little bit. We had that week that pulled back very nicely, tapping into something here. And this week very nicely starts to expand higher. So overall, just bullish, nothing else to say about it. Here again, we had that overall bullish bias, but it took quite some time, all the way until Thursday to give us that bullish sign. And then on Friday to just potentially continue higher. I was coming back home from my grandma on Friday, so I didn't get the chance to be looking at the indices, but very likely I wouldn't have traded because my week was already crap and I didn't want to make it worse. So yeah, here we go. Again, very big chop. Then there is the push. It fails to make an imbalance, just immediately comes back to rebalance and tap into that zone. Continues going higher. And then on Friday, we just have this very nice sell-off. And then it just continues to massively rally higher. It looks very much alike gold. So again, I have to check out what happened this Friday. What did we have? Okay, manufacturing PMI, FOMC speaking, yeah, and consumer sentiment. So this one, and it happened at 5 p.m. So probably this is what we reacted from, both on gold. This is the manufacturing PMI, probably, right? I don't know, but probably. So yeah, right now, similar to the SPX, I would like to wait for one more daily candle right now to give me that very nice daily bullish imbalance. And then from there, I'm going to continue looking for longs. right now if you want to work with something, but I would not suggest that you trade on Monday because we have no news on Monday. We have this volatile zone, but very likely we're just going to start like coming slowly into it and then chop inside it to create that daily zone. And then from that daily zone, then we can look for a high probability trade. So again, guys, wait. With all the news that are coming out next week, will be very interesting. DAX is also on the move. We're having a massive monthly candle closure, which looks super good for a potential continuation higher. Of course, first of all, we could potentially look at slight little bit of a pullback into something which we do not really have. We're having a massive push this week, creating that very massive weekly imbalance, which again, when you have the third candle being extremely massive like this, it does not make a lot of sense for the market to come all the way down here, because that is very likely going to create a very massive bearish or a daily trend, and then from there to start pushing higher, right? Usually the market tends to rebalance price if, let's say, you have something like this in this case, right? You can see the third candle is a bearish one, so it does make sense for it to pull back. But if we have, for example, something like this here again, this candle, it does not make sense at that point to come all the way down. Again, eventually you see it actually came into it, but that was after we failed from that guy. We tried to push, we failed, and then of course we seek something lower, right? So again, it does not make a lot of sense for us to pull back all the way down, which probably means we're going to be trading from something on the daily. On the daily, we have this very recent one, and we have the one that I was looking at on a Thursday that did not tap. There it is. So we have two potential areas to react. We have three, right? The first one is this, second is this, and then if both of them fail and we start forming bearish daily price action, then we can of course expect for all the way for the weekly to come in. So again, nothing else to say. I'm simply going to set an alert here, right? Already set an alert here. If the market comes in right there, I'm going to be dropping to the 40, to the hourly, to the 50-minute to be looking for shift and to potentially try to trade it higher, because DAX looks absolutely bullish and gonna give my best to flow with it. And of course, similar to the rest of the indices, US 30 also massively pushing higher. We're having a monthly imbalance going higher as well, which is very good. Again, this is the same thing that I just explained on DAX. It does not make a lot of sense right now that the market is so far away for it to come back all the way down. Of course, it could happen if everything that could potentially hold price on the lower time frames fails. We don't have anything on the weekly to hold price, which is not ideal because we have weekly zones on the rest of the pairs. But we have this massive thing on the daily that is already invalidated by having a bearish one that is also invalidated by not actually holding from that. So just looking at US 30, it doesn't look as good as the rest. All the rest are very nicely going bullish. US 30 is a little bit, what am I doing? And personally, I'm not looking at US 30 anymore. I'm probably going to remove it from that list. So if nobody mentions in the comments that they want to have a look at US 30, probably going to remove it because I am not looking at it myself. So that's US 30, much better to trade SPX, NAX, or DAX because they are looking quite good. All right, recap. Now for next week, we have a lot of USD news. We also have Euro news. We also have some other news as well that are potentially going to give us the direction going forward this month. So usually, again, the first week of the month, that is when we start that. Think about it like on a fractal basis. The first day of the week is usually like Monday and Tuesday, going to set out the weekly highs and lows. That is the manipulation. The first hours of the day are going to set out the daily highs and lows. That is the manipulation. Same is with the monthly. The first week is potentially going to set out a manipulation or to potentially show us where the market wants to go so that it could start setting up for the next weeks. So very key to wait. When it comes to the USD pairs, don't trade them. DXY, Euro USD, GBP USD, absolute choppy pairs. Aussie dollar and NZD dollars are a little bit better, but they're also choppy, struggling to pick a direction. The only setup that I saw that was looking a little bit cleaner was NZD/USD short that we could explore, but again, we don't have news on Monday, so very likely it's not gonna play out good. Gold and the indices are starting to show us some bullishness. That was Friday's manufacturing PMI, I guess. So I'm very curious to see if this is going to follow through. Personally, I am waiting for Monday to close in order to form a daily imbalance on gold and to form a daily imbalance on SPX, NAX, and DAX. NAX and DAX, right? DAX already has it though. So I'm already having an alert here. So I'm going to be looking for longs from that daily zone. As for the JPYs, they are also a little bit not so clear. So use the JPY, especially, it's kind of 50-50 a little bit right now. So we have to wait for a little bit more confirmation. Although it is coming in from a weekly zone and we're having a very nice rejection. So to me, it makes a lot more sense to push higher. But that also depends on the DXY. EJ and GJ, they need some time. I would like to see something on those pairs happen on the daily because we don't have anything clear. So all in all, the only nice things that I saw right now are again the trio here, SPX, NAS, and DAX, right? And potentially gold as well. For the USDs, I am personally going to wait for the news to be over and waiting for that clear price action because again, what we tend to do at times like this is we tend to look at the charts, we tend to force a trade that is just a not high probability trade because the daily time frame on none of the USD pairs is clear, right? They're just choppy, very long time choppy. So again, guys, we have to wait and hopefully March is going to exit that ugly consolidation. So let me know how you performed this week. Let me know what did you learn. Let me know anything you want. And I'm gonna talk to you on Wednesday.